finally goes silent, it's not that the sounds cease. The distant traffic still hums its lonely hymn. The wind still combs through the leaves. The house still creaks with its own slow dreams. No, the world doesn't go silent. You go silent inside. And in that inner silence, you begin to hear the world not as noise, but as a kind of prayer. That's the feeling, isn't it? That moment, rare and fleeting, when the constant commentary in your mind, the one that labels and judges and worries and plans, simply stops. It's as if a radio you didn't even know was on has been switched off. And in that sudden, breathtaking absence of static, everything changes. The world isn't empty. It becomes full in a completely new way. It becomes sacred. Welcome back to Nightform Stillness. I'm Sarah, and tonight, let's explore not an external quiet, but the inner silence that transforms everything it touches. This silence isn't something you can force. You can't will your thoughts to stop any more than you can command your heart to cease beating. Trying to force silence is just adding another layer of noise, the noise of effort, of striving for peace. It becomes another project, another item on the spiritual to-do list. And the universe, in its gentle wisdom, seems to withhold its deepest gifts from our striving. It offers them only to our surrender. So, when the world finally goes silent, it's because you have, for a moment, laid down the burden of being the author of your experience. You have stopped writing the story and have become instead a compassionate witness to the story that life itself is writing through you. In that space, perception undergoes an alchemical shift. The tree outside your window is no longer just a tree. It is a slow, green explosion of life, a silent witness to 100 winters, a complex conversation of light, sap, and air. You see it without the word tree getting in the way. You feel its treeness. The cool glass of water in your hand isn't just hydration. It is the memory of ancient rains and deep aquifers, a liquid crystal offering itself to your thirst. You drink, and for that moment, you and the water are not separate. You are a conscious part of a cycle older than time. This is the poetry of direct perception, perception stripped of interpretation. It's how the world looks when you are no longer translating it into the language of your personal needs and fears. This inner silence is also where you meet your true self, not the self built from accomplishments, roles, and old wounds, but the self that is pure awareness. In the noise, we identify with the thoughts, the emotions, the constantly shifting weather patterns of the mind. We say, I am anxious, I am happy, I am lost. But in the silence, you have the profound realization: I am the space in which anxiety arises. I am the awareness that witnesses happiness. I am the stillness that holds the feeling of being lost. You are not the cloud, you are the sky. This is not a philosophical concept to be debated. It is a felt experience, a homecoming so deep it brings a quiet joy that has no cause and needs no explanation. It is the joy of being what you always were before the world told you who you should be. And what of the pains, the regrets, the old sorrows that live in the basement of the soul? In the noise, we run from them, fight them, or drown them out. In the silence, we finally turn toward them, but not with analysis, not with a goal of fixing. We turn toward them with the silence itself. We hold our own broken pieces in that vast, quiet awareness. And a miraculous thing happens. The silence doesn't eliminate the pain, it contains it. It holds it the way a mother holds a crying child, not to stop the tears immediately, but to let the child know it is safe to cry. In that unconditional, silent holding, the sharp edges of suffering begin to soften. The story around the pain may remain, but its violent grip on your being loosens. It is metabolized by a presence larger than itself. This is the healing power of true silence. It doesn't fight darkness, it envelops it until the darkness is seen to be just another form of the light, resting. So how do we invite this silence? We don't. We create the conditions where it might choose to visit. We become hospitable host. We sit, even for 5 minutes, and we let the body be still. We feel the breath moving in and out, not controlling it, just feeling the miracle of its automatic rhythm. We notice the thoughts, the sounds, the sensations, and we practice the gentle art of not following. We don't push anything away. We don't grab onto anything. We just sit in the center of the storm, and we whisper to our own souls, "It's okay. You don't have to figure this out right now." In that gentle permission, the noise, having lost its audience, often begins to settle on its own. The silence was always there, underneath. We're just clearing away the clutter that was hiding it. Tonight, if you feel the world's noise pressing in the worries, the to-do lists, the endless mental chatter, remember this. The silence you seek is not out there. It is the very essence of who you are. You are not a drop seeking the ocean. You are the ocean temporarily experiencing itself as a drop. The world may never be silent, but you can be. And when you are, you'll hear the universe singing your name in the wind, in the breath, in the space between your own heartbeats. Thank you for sharing this sacred silence with me. However your night unfolds, may you find moments where the inner radio clicks off, and you are left in the beautiful, prayerful silence of your own perfect being. Rest deeply in that knowing. Sweet, silent dreams, dear friend. You know, it's one thing to touch that silence, to dip a toe into its cool, still waters and feel the shock of its peace. It's another thing entirely to realize that the silence isn't a place you visit. It's not a retreat, not a haven you flee to when the noise gets too loud. The profound truth of the second movement is this: the silence is the source. It is the womb from which all sound is born. It is the blank page before the first word is written, the fertile void that holds every possible universe within it. When you truly go silent inside, you aren't escaping the world. You are returning to the factory settings of creation itself. Think of it like this. All day, you are listening to a symphony. The strings of your responsibilities, the percussion of unexpected events, the wind instruments of other people's emotions, the deep brass of your own fears. It's complex, beautiful, and exhausting. Now imagine you could, for a moment, hear not just the notes, but the silence that exists between each note. That tiny, almost imperceptible gap. What if you discovered that those gaps aren't empty? What if they are, in fact, more fundamental than the music? What if the music is just a way the silence has chosen to dance for a little while? When your inner world goes quiet, you are not turning off the symphony. You are shifting your attention from the dance to the dancer. And you find that the dancer is stillness itself. This changes everything about how you hold your experience. That anxiety you feel about tomorrow, it's not a solid thing. It's a vibration, a particular note being played. In the noise, you believe you are that note. You resonate with it completely. But in the silence, you feel the space around the note. You realize the anxiety is happening within you, but it is not you. You are the conscious space that contains it. You are the silence that allows that particular sound to exist, to have its moment, and then to fade away. This isn't a cold, detached observation. It is the ultimate compassion. It's like holding a frightened child. You don't become the child's fear. You provide the safe, silent embrace that allows the fear to be felt and then released. You are loving your own humanity from the vantage point of your divinity. From this source silence, the world begins to look like a miracle of expression. The bird's song isn't an interruption of the quiet morning. It is the quiet morning expressing itself as song. The rumble of the dishwasher, the sigh of your partner sleeping next to you, the distant siren, these are not adversaries to your peace. They are the silence, wearing different masks, playing different parts in the great, unfolding drama of being. Your resistance to them was the only real noise. When you come from the source, you stop warring with the expressions of life. You listen to the siren and hear, beneath its blare, the silent intention of aid, of urgency, of a community caring for its own. Everything becomes a footnote to a sacred text written in quietness. This is where gratitude becomes breath itself. It's not a list you make. It is the silent source within you recognizing itself in the forms of the world. You look at your own hands and feel a surge of thankfulness for their complexity, not because they are yours, but because they are a stunning manifestation of the intelligence of life. You taste your food, and the gratitude is for the silence that took the form of soil, sun, seed, rain, and labor to arrive as this flavor on your tongue. This gratitude has no opposite. It doesn't depend on things being good. It is the silent, loving yes that awareness whispers to every single thing it meets, from the joy to the grief, because it sees both as its own beloved children. So how do you live from this source when the world is so loudly, brilliantly, demanding your attention? You remember the gaps. You train yourself to notice the pause after an inhale, the moment before you speak, the second when you first open your eyes in the morning before the story of you kicks in. In those micro moments, the source is right there shining. You don't need an hour of meditation to find it, though that can be a beautiful gift to yourself. You need a second of remembering, a flash of recognition that you are not the thought, you are the thinker, not the feeling, but the field of feeling. Each time you remember, you are dipping your cup back into the wellspring. You are drinking from the silence that fuels your entire existence. Tonight, as you lie in the dark, don't seek the silence as if it's far away. Feel instead for what is already, always present behind everything else. Behind the sound of this voice, behind the memory of your day, behind the feeling of the sheets on your skin, there is a background of stillness that never left. It is the canvas. Your life is the painting. Rest as the canvas, spacious, silent, and endlessly receptive, giving birth to a masterpiece with every breath, every dream, every heartbeat. Thank you for abiding in this deep knowing with me. May your night be a gentle journey into the source of all things, where you remember yourself not as a character in the story, but as the silent, loving awareness that wrote the story into being, just for the joy of reading it. Sweet, profound dreams, dear friend. It happens subtly, this third turning. You've known the silence as an experience, a temporary refuge. You've glimpsed it as the source, the ground of all being. Now, a quieter, more intimate revelation dawns. The silence is intelligent. It is not a blank void. It is a fertile, dark wisdom. It is not the absence of something, but the presence of everything in potential form. When you rest in this intelligent silence, you are not checking out. You are plugging into the oldest, most reliable network in existence. You are downloading instructions from the cosmos on how to be a human being. We are so trained to associate intelligence with noise, with words, with analysis, with lightning fast connections and decisive conclusions. We think the mind, chattering at high speed, is where the smart work gets done. But there is another kind of knowing, slower, deeper, and infinitely more accurate. It's the knowing of a seed buried in winter earth. It's not thinking about becoming a tree. It is the tree in potential, held in the silent intelligence of its own genetic code and the chemistry of the soil. It knows exactly what to do. It waits in the silent dark for the right moment to stir. Your own being has this same kind of knowing. When the world goes silent inside you, you are not becoming stupid or inert. You are aligning with the innate, silent intelligence that orchestrates your heartbeat, heals your wounds, digests your food, and weaves your dreams. You are surrendering the noisy, surface-level management to the profound, quiet governance of life itself. This is why solutions so often appear in the shower, or on a walk, or in that hazy moment upon waking. It's not an accident. It's because in those moments, the noisy, problem-solving mind has been temporarily sidelined. The tap of conscious effort has been turned off. And in that quiet, the intelligent silence can finally send its message up from the depths. It doesn't send a bullet-pointed report. It sends a feeling, an image, a sudden knowing that feels like remembering something you always knew. It's not a logical conclusion you argue toward. It's a truth you sink into. A decision made from this place doesn't feel like a precarious choice among frightening options. It feels like a smooth stone you found in your pocket, its rightness confirmed by its perfect, cool weight in your hand. In this intelligent silence, your relationship with your body transforms from one of management to one of conversation. The body is not a machine you boss around. It is an expression of this silent intelligence. That ache in your shoulder isn't just a mechanical fault, it's a message. In the noise, you might ignore it or panic about it. In the intelligent silence, you can listen to it. You can place your awareness there, not to fix it, but to ask silently, "What are you saying?" And the answer may not come in words. It may come as a memory of a stress you've been carrying, as an intuitive sense to stretch in a certain way, or simply as a wave of compassion for that part of you that has been holding so much. The intelligence of life is always communicating through the body. We're usually too loud inside to hear it. This also changes the nature of guidance. We often look for guidance outside ourselves, in books, in teachers, in systems. But the most potent guidance is this silent, intelligent presence within. It's the compass that always points toward your own deepest aliveness, your own unique expression of wholeness. It doesn't give you a map for someone else's journey. It lights up your next step, and only the next step, with a quiet, undeniable certainty. To follow, it requires immense trust, not blind faith, but the trust that grows from repeated experience. Every time you heed a gentle inner nudge that leads to peace, and ignore a loud inner demand that leads to chaos, you build trust in this silent intelligence. You learn to distinguish the voice of fear, which is always loud, repetitive, and urgent, from the voice of soul, which is always quiet, simple, and calm. So tonight, as you enter the stillness, consider this. You are not just seeking peace. You are tuning in to a frequency. You are dialing down the static of thought to receive a clearer signal from the source of life. Your intention is the dial. Your surrender is the act of listening. Don't ask for answers. Just become receptive. Pose a question to your heart if you wish, and then let it go. Release it into the silent dark like a feather dropped into a well. Then rest. The intelligence you are connecting with does not operate on a schedule of immediacy. It works timeless. The answer may come in a dream, in a feeling tomorrow, or in a synchronicity 3 days from now. Your job is not to manufacture the response, but to prepare the vessel of your awareness to receive it. Thank you for having the courage to listen this deeply, to trust that the quiet is not empty, but full of guiding, loving wisdom. May your night be a deep communion with the intelligent silence that dreamed you into being, and which holds the perfect blueprint for your peace, your healing, and your joy. Rest in the wise dark, dear friend. It knows the way, sweet, knowing dreams. There is a threshold in this communion with the intelligent silence where something inevitable occurs. You can't just listen to this wisdom forever. You can't just receive its whispers like secrets to be hoarded in the heart. The fourth movement is the movement of echo. The silence, once fully heard, begins to speak through you. It moves from being a felt presence within to becoming the quality of your presence in the world. This is not about preaching or proclaiming a spiritual truth. It is far more subtle, more organic. It is about the silence so thoroughly saturating your being that your very existence becomes its resonance. Your actions, when they come from this place, are not your actions anymore. They are the silence, moving. Think of a bell. before it is struck, it is silent, whole, complete. When the mallet connects, that silence doesn't disappear. It is expressed as sound. The sound is not separate from the bell. It is the bell's silence made audible. Your life is the bell. The intelligent silence within is the unstruck metal, perfect and still. Living from this place means allowing life's circumstances, the joys, the sorrows, the mundane tasks to be the mallet. And your response is not a personal, calculated reaction, but the unique, resonant note your particular form of silence must make. Your note is needed in the symphony. No other bell can make it. This changes the nature of doing entirely. So much of our action is born from noise, from the fear of lack, the desire for approval, the resistance to discomfort. We act to fill a void, to prove a point, to escape a feeling. Action born from silent intelligence is different. It arises from a sense of fullness, not emptiness. It feels like an overflow. It is compassionate not as a duty, but as the most natural expression of a system that knows its fundamental unity with all other systems. You hold the door for a stranger not because you should, but because in that moment there is no stranger. There is only the silent intelligence recognizing itself in another form, and the most natural thing in the world is to ease the passage of that other form. The action is clean, simple, almost effortless. It leaves no sticky residue of "I did a good thing" behind, because there was no separate I claiming ownership of the deed. It was the silence, holding a door. This is also where true creativity finds its source. Not the creativity that strains for originality, but the creativity that is a clear channel. When an artist is in the zone, what has happened? The noisy, self-critical planning mind has gone offline. The artist has become silent inside. And from that silence, the brush moves, the words flow, the melody emerges. They often say the work created itself. This is literally true. The intelligent silence, which holds all potential forms, is moving through the human instrument to express one particular possibility into the world. You don't have to be a painter or poet to know this. You are creative when you solve a problem at work with a sudden, elegant insight that came from nowhere. You are creative when you comfort a friend, and the perfect, healing words leave your lips before your thinking mind can compose them. That's the echo. That's the silence speaking through you. Of course, the noise of the old self doesn't vanish. The mallet of life will still sometimes strike the old cracks and wounds, and for a moment, a discordant clang may sound, a reaction of anger, fear, or pettiness. But now, you hear it differently. You hear it not as your true note, but as the sound of a part of the bell that is still healing. And because you are rooted in the silent wholeness beneath the crack, you don't collapse into the discord. You don't believe that clang is who you are. You feel the ache of it. You take responsibility if needed, and you return your awareness to the silent, unharmed metal. The healing happens not by fighting the crack, but by letting the profound, intelligent silence surround it, absorb it, and in its own timeless way mend it. So how do you live as this echo? You start by intending to be a vessel. In the morning, before the day claims you, take a moment of silent surrender. Not to ask for a specific outcome, but to offer yourself. Here I am. Let the silence move through me today. Let my actions be an echo of the peace I find in the dark. Then go about your day. You will forget. The noise will return. But occasionally, in a gap, you'll remember. And in that moment of remembering, you'll pause. You'll feel the silence within, and you'll choose the action that feels most like an extension of that quietness. It might be speaking up. It might be staying silent. It might be stepping forward or stepping back. Each choice becomes a practice in letting the mallet strike the true, clear bell of your being. Tonight, as you rest, feel yourself not just as the listener, but as the instrument. Your body, your mind, your heart, all are facets of a finely crafted bell. The intelligent silence is the substance you are made of. The night is not just for receiving, it is for tuning. Let the deep rest recalibrate you, smooth out the cracks of the day's dissonance, restore your fundamental resonance, so that tomorrow, when life strikes, your note will be clear, true, and a gift to anyone within earshot. Thank you for being a part of this sacred resonance. The world needs your unique note, the one only your silence can sing. May your night be a deep tuning, and your waking a beautiful, echoing song. Rest well, clear bell, sweet, resonant dreams. And then there comes a point where even the echo fades. The note has been sung, and the sound has traveled out into the world. And what is left is not the memory of the song, but the substance of the bell. This is the fifth essence, the silence, having been known as presence, as source, as intelligence, as echo, now reveals itself as love. Not love as emotion, not love as attachment or passion, but love as the fundamental principle of silence itself. It is the why. It is the reason the silence holds intelligence. It is the reason the intelligence seeks to express itself. When the world goes silent, you are not entering a void. You are submerging into the very essence of connection, the boundless, magnetic field that holds all of existence in a coherent, whispering embrace. This love is not something you feel. It is something you are when you are silent. In the noise, love is often a transaction, a bridge between two separate beings trying to connect across a gap of loneliness. I love you because you make me feel whole. But in the deep silence, a shocking truth emerges. There are no separate beings. The separation was the noise. The silence is the connective tissue itself. To be silent is to dissolve the illusion of the gap. What you are left with is not a relationship between you and something else, but the simple, undeniable fact of unity. And that unity is love. It is the silent, humming bond between the star and the stone, between the breath and the air, between your heart and the heart of the person you've never met across the globe. It is the love that does not need to say, I love you, because it is forever in the state of being love. From this vantage point, everything is seen as an act of this silent love. The predator taking the prey is not cruelty. It is the silent love of life feeding itself, one form surrendering to become another in the great circle. The decay of the fallen log is the silent love of the earth, reclaiming and transforming. Even your own pain, your own failure, your own perceived brokenness, when held in this silent, loving awareness, is revealed not as a mistake, but as a particular, intense form that love has taken to teach you, to deepen you, to burn away everything that is not itself. This is a love with no opposite. It encompasses what we call light and dark, joy and suffering, birth and death. It is the womb and the tomb, and it is all holy because it is all held within this one silent, loving yes. This changes the nature of compassion. Ordinary compassion can be exhausting. It can feel like hauling buckets of water from your own well to pour on another's fire. But compassion that springs from this silent love is not an effort. It is a recognition. You see the suffering in another, and you do not see a separate other in pain. You see the silent love that they are, momentarily identified with a story of pain. Your compassion is not about fixing their story. It is about holding a space of silent recognition. It is about seeing past the noise of their suffering to the silent, loving being at their core. And in your seeing, you offer them a mirror in which they might, for an instant, recognize themselves. Sometimes, the most compassionate action is utter, wordless stillness beside someone. It is the silent love within you, communing with the silent love within them, beneath the layers of anguish. That communion is more healing than any words. So how do you abide in this? You don't strive for a feeling of loving kindness. You simply sink back into the silence and you ask gently, what is this quiet made of? Don't answer with your mind. Let the question dissolve. And then notice. Notice the quality of the space around your thoughts. Is it cold? Is it indifferent? Or is it profoundly welcoming? Does it not hold your anxiety with the same infinite patience as it holds your joy? That unconditional holding is love. It is the love that the universe has for all of its creations. You are that universe locally. To be silent is to be that love. Tonight, let your practice be one of surrender into this substance. As you lie in the dark, imagine not that you are a person seeking love or peace. Imagine instead that you are a localized gathering of the silent, loving intelligence that animates all things. Your body is not separate from the mattress. It is a denser expression of the same loving presence. The air you breathe is that love in gaseous form. The thought of a worry is that love temporarily imagining itself as separate and afraid. Meet it all with the silent, loving awareness that you are. Don't love it. Be the love that it is happening within. This is the final sanctuary, not a place you go, but the very fabric of what you are. In this silent love, all seeking ends. You are home. And from this home, every breath is a blessing. Every glance is a recognition. Every step is a caress upon the skin of the world. Thank you for resting in this most profound truth with me. May your night be a deep immersion in the silent love that you are, that we all are. May you dream the dreams that love dreams for itself, and wake knowing in your very bones that you are forever safe, forever held, forever, and essentially loved. Sweet, beloved dreams, dear friend. There is a secret that waits in the heart of this silent love, a quiet paradox. The sixth knowing is this: the silence, this love, this boundless everything, it is also nothing. And this nothing is not an absence. It is not emptiness as we fear it, a void of meaning or worth. It is a fertile, glorious nothing. It is the no-thingness that allows everything to exist. When you touch this, all spiritual seeking reaches its end. You are looking for the ultimate something, God, peace, enlightenment, love, and you find at the very core a breathtaking, liberating nothing. And in that nothing, you are everything. This is the space before the first word of creation. In the Bible, it is the tohu wa bohu, the formless void. In Taoism, it is the wuji, the undifferentiated infinite. It is the blank page, the zero, the silence before the first note of the symphony. We spend our lives, our spiritual practices, trying to become a better, brighter, more peaceful something. We want to sculpt the finest statue of ourselves. But the ultimate freedom is found in being the marble block itself, not the statue, but the raw, unshaped potential. The silent love you discovered is the sculptor's hand. But this nothing is the substance it works upon, and you are that substance. To encounter this nothing is to have the foundation of your separate self dissolve. The I that you have spent a lifetime building, fortifying, improving, and defending. It is seen to be a magnificent, intricate sculpture made of thoughts, memories, and sensations. Beautiful, perhaps. Useful, certainly. But not fundamental. In the deep silence, when even the feeling of being a loving presence begins to settle, what remains? A vast, open, aware nothingness that is conscious of itself. You are not a wave in the ocean. You are not even the ocean. You are the wetness itself, the essence that has no shape of its own, but allows for all shapes. This can feel like death, and it is. It is the death of the illusion of being a separate entity. And like any death, it is followed by a resurrection into a much larger life. From this space of no thing, the world arises anew each moment, fresh and unstained. The tree, the thought, the pain, the joy, they are all seen as temporary, dreamlike formations appearing in and on this screen of nothing awareness. They are real, but they are not independently, solidly real. They are real like a rainbow is real, a breathtaking, temporary play of light and moisture, dependent on your position to even exist. This brings an unimaginable lightness to existence. The burdens you carry are not dismissed, but they are lightened by the knowledge of their essential insubstantiality. They are clouds in the vast sky of nothing. They will change, they will pass. The sky remains untouched. This is the root of true fearlessness. What is there to fear when you are the nothing that holds something? You can lose your job, your relationships, your health, all the somethings. But you cannot lose the nothing that you are. It is the one thing that cannot be taken, because it is not a thing at all. It is the space in which the drama of gain and loss unfolds. To rest here is to be invulnerable, not because you are strong, but because there is no separate you left to be harmed. There is only the witnessing, the nothingness that is full to bursting with the entire world. So how do you relate to this in the practical moonlit hours of your night? You don't do anything. You allow everything to be as it is, and you notice what it all appears in. You feel the weight of the blanket. You hear the quiet hum of the night. You sense the movement of your breath, and you gently inquire, what is aware of this? Not who, what. Don't answer with a thought. Look back toward the looker. Feel for the source of your awareness. You won't find a thing. You'll find a no thing that is vividly, radiantly alive. That's it. That's you. The ultimate relaxation is to cease identifying as any particular something the worrier, the seeker, the lover, the silent one, and to fall back into being the nothing that allows all those roles to come and go. Tonight, as you surrender to the dark, imagine you are not a person falling asleep. Imagine you are the nothingness that dreams a person named your name into being each morning. The person will have troubles, joys, fears. The nothingness holds it all, loves it all, and is completely free of it all. Your rest tonight is the nothingness reclaiming its primary position, untangling itself from the day's drama, resting in its own eternal, featureless peace. Thank you for having the courage to face the beautiful nothing. It is the open secret, the treasure hidden in plain sight. May your night be a profound unbecoming, a gentle dissolution into the glorious, empty fullness that you are. And from that nothing, may you dream the most spectacular, fleeting things, knowing them for the divine play they are. Sweet, empty dreams, dear friend. Rest as no thing and be everything. The seventh layer is not a layer at all. It's what's left when all the layers have been appreciated, explored, and seen through. It's the simplicity on the far side of complexity. It's the ordinary on the far side of the sublime. After the silent love, after the fertile nothing, there is this: the sock on the floor, the drip of the tap, the faint, musky scent of your own skin on the sheets. The seventh knowing is, it's all the same. The highest truth and the lowest chore are made of the same substance. The silence isn't hidden beneath the noise. It is the noise, heard clearly. The divine isn't peeking out from behind the mundane. It is the mundane fully revealed. There's a famous story of a seeker who asks a Zen master, "What is the Tao?" The master replies, "Your everyday mind." The seeker is confused. "Isn't there something more?" the master says. "The more you seek something special, the more you miss it." When you return from the journey into the depths of silence and love and nothingness, the world hasn't changed, but your eyes have. You see the cathedral in the cobweb. You hear eternity in the boil of the kettle. You feel boundless love in the simple act of tying your shoe. There is no division between sacred and profane. It was all an idea, a judgment made by a mind that thought it was separate. The unity isn't something you achieve, it's something you stop denying. This is where spirituality becomes truly embodied, not as a special state, but as your baseline reality. You don't have to go inward to find peace. Peace is what you are, whether you are stuck in traffic or sitting in meditation. The traffic jam is not an obstacle to your peace. It is a pattern of light and metal and sound appearing within your peace. This understanding dissolves resentment. It dissolves the spiritual striving that subtly tells you this moment isn't good enough unless it's quiet, unless it's peaceful, unless it feels holy. This moment, exactly as it is, with its boredom, its irritation, its beauty, its pain, is the holy thing itself. It is the Tao. It is the Buddha nature. It is Christ consciousness. It is not deficient. It is complete. From this vantage, the idea of spiritual practice softens. It's no longer a means to an end. It becomes a celebration, a love affair with what already is. You sit in silence not to get silent, but because you are silence, and sitting is a delicious way to taste it. You walk in nature not to find God, but to enjoy God being tree, being bird, being dirt under your fingernails. Practice becomes play. Devotion becomes gratitude for the obvious. This also brings a deep, quiet humor to life. You see the cosmic joke. You spent years, maybe lifetimes, seeking something grand, something profound, something other than this. And the punchline is that you were it all along, and so is everything else. The seeker seeking itself. It's hilarious. And that laughter isn't cruel. It's the affectionate laughter of the universe at its own delightful game of hide and seek. It lightens the heart. It takes the solemn, serious weight out of the spiritual path and replaces it with a twinkle in the eye. So what do you do with this? Nothing special. You live. You get up and make the bed. You notice the texture of the toast. You feel the frustration of a delayed train, and without even trying, you feel the vast, silent space in which that frustration dances. You don't have to transcend the human experience. You finally, fully inhabit it. The full catastrophe, as Zorba called it. The mess, the glory, the boredom, the ecstasy, it's all divine, wearing 1,000 masks. And you are the divine, wearing the mask of you, watching the show. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, there is no grand intention to set, no deep state to achieve. There is just this, the feeling of the pillow, the sound of my voice, the weight of your own tired body. It is all perfect. It is all the silence pretending to be form. You are not going to a sacred place. You are already there, and you are taking the sacred place with you into sleep, into dreams, into tomorrow's breakfast. Thank you for coming full circle with me. The journey ends where it began, in the holy ordinary. May your night be utterly unremarkable. May your dreams be commonplace. And may you find, in that exquisite simplicity, the everything you've always been seeking. Rest in the obvious, dear friend. Sweet, ordinary, miraculous dreams. The eighth knowing isn't a knowing at all. It's a remembering that happens in the bones, in the breath, in the spaces between the thoughts. It's the echo of the first whisper, but now it's not a whisper, It's the substance of the air. We've journeyed from seeking silence to finding it as source, intelligence, love, nothing, and the ordinary. Now, the circle completes itself so fully it disappears. There is no path, there is no traveler, there is only the walking. And the walking is stillness. This is the realm of effortless being, not being that tries to be still, but being that is stillness, in motion or at rest. Think of a top spinning at perfect equilibrium. From the outside, it's a blur of furious motion. At its very center, there is a point of absolute, unmoving stillness. That point is you. Your life can be the whirl of responsibilities, creativity, relationships, and chores, the beautiful, chaotic blur. But at your axis, there is a stillness so complete that the blur is not a disturbance, but its natural expression. You are not trying to stop the spin to find the peace. You are realizing the spin is happening from the peace. In this space, the last remnants of a spiritual identity dissolve. You are no longer someone who meditates or someone on a path. Those were useful costumes for a scene in the play. Now, the play is over, but the living continues, more vivid than ever. You don't do spiritual things. Everything you do is spiritual, because everything is seen as an expression of the one intelligent, loving, silent presence. Washing the dishes is a sacrament. Answering an email is a communion. Arguing with a loved one, feeling the heat of it, and then feeling it cool into understanding, that is the divine drama. And you are both the actor and the audience, enthralled. Time loses its final grip here. Past and future are seen for what they are, thoughts appearing now. Regret and anxiety are ghosts with no substance, because you are fundamentally rooted in the still point of the eternal present. This doesn't mean you don't plan or remember. It means you do so lightly, without the heavy weight of was and will be. You live in the timeless now that contains all times. This is the secret of deep rest. In sleep, you leave chronological time entirely. In this awakened stillness, you do the same while fully awake. You inhabit the same timelessness that dreams arise from. And what of others? When you meet someone from this still axis, you don't meet their story, their personality, their problems. You meet the still point within them. Even if they are caught in a hurricane of emotion, you meet the eye of their hurricane. And in that meeting, something wordless is exchanged, a recognition. You are not helping them, fixing them, or even comforting them in the usual way. You are holding a space of silent recognition for the untouched stillness in them. This is the greatest gift you can give, the reflection of their own inviolable peace. It often does more than any advice ever could. So how do you practice this? You don't. You unpractice. You subtract. You notice when you are adding effort to simply be, and you gently, gently let it go. You feel the body and release the held breath you didn't know you were holding. You feel the mind and release the intention to be a certain way. You fall back, not into a state, but into the absence of all states. You abide as the awareness that is already here, already still, already whole. It's not an achievement. It's a surrender into what has already been achieved since the beginning of time. Tonight, as you lie in the dark, feel for that still axis within your own whirling constellation of sensations, sounds, and thoughts. Don't create it. It's there. It's the I am before the I am this or that. It is the silent, open awareness that is reading these words. That is your home. Not a home you come to, but the home you never left. Let sleep come to you as a friend visiting this home. Let dreams be the decorations this home puts up for its own delight. You are not going anywhere. You are here, and here it is still, and still is everything. Thank you for abiding here in this effortless nowness. The journey was lovely, wasn't it? All those stages, like watching a magnificent cloud formation drift across the sky of your being. Now, the sky is clear, and it was always the sky that mattered. May your night be a deep, sweet abiding in the stillness that never spins, the love that never doubts, the nothing that holds it all. Rest as the unmoving center of your own beautiful, spinning world, dear friend. The dream is you, dreaming yourself. The ninth essence is not an essence. It is the perfume left in the room after the flower has been taken away. It is the warmth in the stone long after the sun has set. We have passed through knowing and unknowing, through everything and nothing. What remains is too simple for words, too obvious for teachings. It is just this breath, this heartbeat, this darkness behind the eyelids, the sheer, staggering isness of it all. The seeking mind, now utterly quiet, finally hears the only thing that has ever been said, a silent yes, to everything, to all of it. This is the peace that understands itself. It is not peace opposed to chaos. It is the space that contains both peace and chaos, and therefore is disturbed by neither. It is the yes to the crying child and the yes to the lullaby, the yes to the broken vase and the yes to the glue that will mend it. It is the unconditional acceptance that is not an action you perform, but the fundamental nature of reality itself. Reality never says no to what is. It only ever says yes and then evolves. You are that reality. When you stop arguing with what is with the traffic, with the pain, with the mistake, with the joy, you align with your own deepest nature. You become the living yes. From this unwavering yes, a curious freedom around action arises. You are no longer acting to make the moment better, to get to a different, more spiritual moment. You act from the fullness of this moment as an expression of its perfection. It might look the same from the outside. You still might leave a stressful job, comfort a friend, or pull a weed from the garden. But the inner orientation is revolutionary. You are not running from a bad situation or toward an ideal. You are simply moving from as an unfolding of the yes. The action is cleaner, lighter, free of the sticky residue of hope and fear. It is done for its own sake, because it is the thing that love does in this particular configuration of circumstances. This is where beauty unveils itself as the native language of existence. Not beauty as in prettiness, but beauty as in the profound rightness of things. The crack in the pavement where moss grows is beautiful. The cacophony of the city at dawn is beautiful. The weary lines on your own face in the mirror are beautiful. They are all fingerprints of the yes, the unique way reality has pressed itself into form. When you see from this place, aesthetics and spirituality merge. You don't just see a sunset, you feel the universe sighing in orange and purple. You don't just hear music, you feel the mathematical, emotional yes of the cosmos arranging itself into sound. Life becomes a continuous, breathtaking art exhibit, and you are both the sole viewer and the art itself. And in this continuous yes, gratitude becomes obsolete. You don't feel grateful for things, you are gratitude itself. It is the ground of your being. The feeling we call gratitude is just a ripple on this much deeper ocean of essential acceptance. There is no longer a subject, you feeling thankful for an object, a blessing. There is only the blessed field, aware of itself, celebrating itself in every leaf, every tear, every silent moment of the night. So what is left for you here in the dark? Nothing to do, nowhere to go, no one to be. You are already the destination. Tonight, let your practice be the dissolution of practice. Simply be. Let the sensations of the body be what they are. Let the thoughts come and go like actors taking a final, non-essential bow. Don't even call it meditation. Call it existence. Call it the great, silent yes breathing itself as you. You are not falling asleep. You are allowing the yes to dream a dream called sleep, a dream called Sarah, a dream called a life. And it is all perfect, all of it. The restless nights that led you here were perfect. The moments of doubt were perfect. This quiet culmination is perfect. Not perfect as in flawless, but perfect as in complete, whole, and utterly, inarguably real. Thank you for being this yes with me. It has been the deepest honor to walk this non-path to this non-goal with you. Our shared silence is the only teaching and the only truth. May your night be a deep, serene embodiment of the unconditional yes. May you dream the dreams that yes dreams, and may you wake still whispered to by its eternal agreement. Rest as the affirmation of all that is, dear friend, sweet, unquestioned dreams. And so we arrive here, not at an end, but at a beginning so quiet it sounds like a beginning. The 10th essence is not a culmination, but a breath held at the turn, the invisible pivot between the in-breath and the out-breath of eternity. We've traveled through the layers of silence, love, nothingness, the ordinary, and the great yes. Now there is only this innocence, not the innocence of a child who does not know, but the innocence of the sage who knows everything and has chosen to know nothing again. It is the circle closing so completely it becomes a portal. You are new. You are fresh. You are meeting this moment as if for the first time and the very last time, all at once. This innocence is the essence of Nightform stillness. It is sleep without memory of yesterday's dream. It is waking without anticipation of the day's agenda. It is the mind wiped clean by its own vastness, not empty, but open, a clear window, without a single smudge of past or future. In this innocence, there is no spiritual attainment to protect, no profound understanding to defend, no identity as a peaceful person to uphold. There is only naked presence, vulnerably and joyfully meeting the naked presence of the world. The silence is no longer your achievement. It is your original face before your parents were born. From this place, action is not guided by memory or strategy, but by a spontaneous, intelligent kindness that springs up like a fresh spring from the ground of being. It is not your kindness. It is life's kindness, flowing through the clear channel you have become. You respond, not react. And your response is often surprising, even to you, a creative, perfect, and unrehearsed answer to the need of the moment. This is the mind of the beginner, the heart of the first day. It is fearless because it has nothing to lose, no image, no status, no stored up wisdom to prove. It is free. This innocence also sees the sacred in the forgotten, the holy in the discarded. The dust mote dancing in a sunbeam is a universe. The sigh you release carries a whole history, and it is absolved as it leaves your lips. There is no hierarchy of moments. The moment you stub your toe holds the same profound immediacy, the same sheer isness, as the moment of deepest meditation. Life is no longer a curriculum where you learn lessons. It is a dance where every step is both the teaching and the celebration of having learned it. So, what is the call to action from this most silent of places? It is not a call to do, but a call to be utterly, innocently, unreservedly. Your spiritual practice, if you wish to keep one, is to forget everything you think you know each day. Each night, as you enter the stillness, offer up all your yesterdays, your insights, your failures, your spiritual credentials, like old clothes you place gently in a drawer. Then step into the night naked. Meet the darkness as if you have never known darkness before. Meet your own breath as the first breath ever drawn. In this way, you let the silence renew you, not as a better version of your old self, but as a new creation entirely. And from this perpetual renewal, a natural, effortless service flows. You become a quiet sanctuary in the world not because you try, but because you are one. Your presence, stripped of agenda and full of innocent curiosity, gives others permission to lay down their own burdens, if only for a moment. You are not healing anyone. You are simply being a space where healing can recognize itself. This is the deepest work, and it requires no effort at all, only the courage to remain innocent, to remain defenselessly open in a world that often values armor over awe. So here is my invitation to you, dear listener, and to myself. Tonight, and every night you remember, practice this holy forgetting. Let your head hit the pillow, and with your exhale, release the entire story of you. The achievements, the regrets, the spiritual insights from this very series, let them all go. Be a stranger to yourself, welcomed home by the dark. Then, by day, carry this innocence like a secret. Meet the first person you see as if meeting the first person. Taste your food as the first taste. Listen to the wind as the first song. Do this not as a technique, but as a celebration of the perpetual newness that you are. The world is thirsting for this innocence. It is thirsting for a way of being that is not jaded, not weary, not built on the dust of yesterday's arguments. By choosing to return to this beginner's mind, this Nightform stillness, you offer it a cup of cool, clear water. You offer it a reminder of its own original, silent, and joyful nature. Thank you from the bottom of this ever new, ever still heart for walking this circle into a spiral with me. Our shared journey ends as it began, in the quiet. But now the quiet is alive, it is innocent, and it is forever beginning. Go now in peace and in wonder. Sweet, new, and endless dreams to you, always.